Happy birthday, Boris Johnson, today. He's 60 today, and what's he doing?
Well, he's enjoying it in Sardinia, beautiful Italian island, and it is a big birthday, so fair enough, I suppose, if he wants to have a big party. It just so happens to be in the middle of the election woes for the Conservatives.
Well, and quite a few Conservatives might want him back to be a face, a charismatic face that would attract voters, and quite a lot of people are very glad to see the back of him. Youth Vote UK Chief Executive and Founder Alexander Cairns is one of those. So, despite the the line and the lack of detail with certain things, what do you miss about Boris?
Morning, both. I don't miss a lot, I'll be honest. And I think it's very interesting to me that actually we have a situation now that the Conservatives are considering bringing him back. You know, let's remember actually that Rishi Sunak brought back David Cameron, probably for a similar reason, actually, as Foreign Secretary, that he was really looking at lots of seats around the country and starting to panic and thinking, who can I bring in to support me? I actually think that Boris is deeply unpopular. He was forced out of office. And actually, I think the Tories are in such a difficult situation now that they're looking to him. But actually, people shouldn't have short-term memory loss. Actually, he was forced out of office. A lot of people died from COVID. We're the sixth highest number of deaths from COVID under his watch. He appointed a minister that he knew was kind of groping other men. This is not someone that the public should think, he's the saviour. And I think the Tory party really needs to finally move on from him, because how many times are we going to see this situation where the polls start to drop and they think, let's bring back Boris, So no, Eamon, to your question, I don't miss him at all.
But don't forget, Boris Johnson won an 80-seat majority. He also was very successful and popular as London mayor. He's seen widely as a sort of something of an electoral golden goose, very successful at campaigning. He's got a charisma. Perhaps he just happened to face a particular time in office that didn't suit his skill set. Admittedly, COVID was, pretty unique set of circumstances for any leader. Might he be more successful if he had another go?
No, I don't think so, because I think a lot of the public will now, in their mind, have a perception of Boris Johnson. I think you're right. The worst thing that he did actually was try and run for Prime Minister. When he was Mayor of London, I remember lots of people that are naturally Tory voters voted for Boris Johnson. He was really popular. He did a great job at being an ambassador for the city, lots of good work on the London Olympics. I remember that very, very well. But the moment, actually, he went from being a good campaigner and a mayor, which actually suited his skill set, to being Prime Minister, which is a very serious job, especially during COVID, where we needed him to be across the detail. He wasn't across the detail. So the reality is the worst thing he did actually was let his ego and let people around him push him into running for party leader and becoming Prime Minister, because actually he was very popular and now he's very deeply unpopular.
How heavily did he rely on Dominic Cummings? How much did he need Dominic Cummings?
A lot. And actually, that's another issue that you see, because let's say hypothetically that he came back and Rishi Sunak gave him a prime kind of role, and for whatever reason he managed to save the Conservative Party and actually they got, let's say, a majority. The reality is that someone like Boris actually had the most powerful advisor running the country, which again is a little bit of a ridiculous situation. The advisors are meant to be advising the Prime Minister and he makes decisions, but everyone knows that essentially we had Dom Cummings that was pretty much the Prime Minister, which is actually laughable, not elected, very difficult to hold someone like Dom Cummings accountable, apart from, the Prime Minister that got rid of him. But, he's not someone that stands in a seat, the public can't vote for him. So actually the whole thing, the Conservative Party almost took this like a little bit of a joke, let's bring in some people. And it was a Brexit election. People forget that, it was against Jeremy Corbyn. It was very much a Brexit election. There was very little other detail in that election. So as much as he got a big majority, it was about one topic. A lot of the public were fed up. I get that, but this is a different election, and bringing him back, I don't think will have any impact whatsoever.
You don't think at all. You don't think him out and about pressing the flesh and being, let's not deny it, a television personality, because that's what he is. He's like Donald Trump from that point of view. He was famous through a TV program, and that makes him popular, and people recognise him. Oh, we know you. Oh, we'll vote for you and whatever. But you can't see any huge benefit at all in him going around and pressing the flesh.
No, because actually there might be potentially a little bit of a move of the needle on some of the polls, but actually a lot of the voters that potentially would have supported someone like Boris this time are going to go and vote for Reform and Nigel, right? So actually, I don't think some of those voters that were potentially inspired by him last time will forgive what happened. And actually, I think a lot of the people that potentially are frustrated and are not necessarily happy with Rishi Sunak, even though they might like Boris Johnson, it's not going to be enough to get them to vote for the Conservative Party because Rishi Sunak is still the leader. They may not like the policies and they're going to vote for reform. And then you have the undecideds that are probably going to go elsewhere, vote for independent candidates, vote for Lib Dems, or maybe not vote at all, because I know a lot of people are very frustrated and turnout will be low. So I don't think Boris, it's too late in the day to bring in someone like Boris.
You say turnout will be low? I mean, they had a record number of people registering to vote yesterday, higher than ever. That remains to be seen. And as you say, Alexander, I mean, he's not actually contesting a seat. He could just lend his support to the Conservatives, which a lot of people, says that's probably his skill set is out campaigning. I just want to reflect some of the views coming in. Quite a mixed bag. Janice Davis says, oh, no, not Boris back. He's a buffoon influenced by climate change activist wife, and he never made the most of Brexit. Robert Stevenson, why would Boris come back after they stabbed him in the back and set him up? He'd be better off waiting for the next election. Diana Norman, that ship sailed when the Tories stabbed Boris in the back. And then Monkey Harris saying, Boris, just when you thought the Tories couldn't do any worse than bringing Cameron back. So a bit of a mixed bag there.
There you go. Alexander, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much.